All right. Hey, that took a while. So this is session 2 of Monsterhearts. Once again, we return Wictive Monsterhearts mashup madness. We've got most of our players here, and Ryan should be with us in a couple of minutes. There are customers. The world is evil, and they all beset him today. So this time we're actually going to get into playing, and I'm not totally freaked out and nervous at all. I promise. I'm completely confident, and everything is going to go perfectly. So I wanted to start with a little bit of character housekeeping and rules housekeeping. From Moirai and Ami. Do you have ideas on what their mortal names were before all this transition stuff?
Oh, Amy is totally like the bastardization of her actual name.
Gotcha. So she's gone by Amy.
Yeah, I haven't done any research into actual Japanese names.
That's cool. Amy is enough.
Yeah, Amy does come from an American family, but they decided to, use a Japanese, give her a Japanese name.
And Alex?
Let's go for Madeline Jones.
Nice. I like it. Ryan, you have not missed much. We're just catching up on what people's actual names were. I have an updated Pantheon symbol with more symbols and actual descriptions for some of the gods. I believe the character keeper, or the dice roller page might be in the character keeper. Gosh, that'd be nice if I did that. I did! It's at the bottom of the characters tab. So, before we get started into play, the last thing I didn't get a chance to go over in our previous 3 hours of world and character creation, you would think that would be enough for me, are the special moves that I put together for this Wictive mashup to see if they do what I want them to. So we'll talk about them for a minute. There is a document in the Google Drive folder that has the moves laid out, and then like a page talking about the stuff behind the moves and breakdown of how to use them, stuff like that. There is also now in the Character Keeper a tab that says Moves, which has all the basic moves, as well as the new moves, so that I don't have to keep flipping back and forth between PDFs, because my computer is slow. So we're just going to assume that you're at least vaguely familiar with all the basic moves. We'll call them out when they come up for the first time in the game here. But over to the right, there are 3 special moves that are highlighted in green. So the first one is Work a Miracle, which is like exercising your divine power on the world. This is Monsterhearts, and you're weird, and there's tons of fictional positioning, and you have special playbook moves, and all this stuff is still going on. But the Work a Miracle is for when you want to just unleash your power and get something done now. Importantly, as compared to all those other moves, it's not a rolled move. It's basically just the equivalent of a 7 to 9 every time you do it. You make picks off a list, and so I told you, tabs, they're going to be the death of me. So, Work a Miracle. When you count to 4, snap your fingers and work a miracle to solve your problems. Choose 2 consequences. The counting, the snapping, it's technically extraneous. It's not necessary. It's sort of a focusing exercise for your mind to get your god power fully spooled up and ready to go. If you want to work past that and not use it, that's totally cool. If you want to use it for all its repetitive dramatic glory, also do that thing. But the important part here is that you're trying to use your godly powers to overcome a problem that you have. And when you do, you're going to choose 2 consequences. Someone sees what you don't want them to. Someone you care about gets hurt. Your god's personality takes you for a time. You attract interestingly parsed here, but I like the poetic nature of it. Another god or other gods to the scene, or it takes on a life of its own. So you'll have complete control over how the miracle manifests, how it works. It will work. It'll do what you want it to do. But I'll have control over how those consequences come out. Are there any questions about that move? Cool. We're going to move on to the next one, which is performance. And you may note here that I do not have the cutting brevity that Avery Alder does. She's amazing. She writes amazing things. She is everything. And I wish my moves could be, only twice as long as her moves instead of like 18 times as long. But we have the give a performance here. Which we touched on some last time, but when you bear your godly soul in a performance for an audience, when you get up on a stage, when you set up a thing, when you let go, no one can tear their eyes away from your majesty. Describe the transcendent spectacle of your show. In case you can't tell, use lots of adjectives, many adjectives. I used a ton. Surely you can find more. Now say what you're trying to communicate to them. It could be an emotion, a belief, your innermost self, visions of the future, whatever is important for the moment, but you're just trying to get something across to these people, and you roll with dark. On a hit, the audience gets it, gaining you a string on someone present. If it's a 10 up, your message resonates with the audience and they leave changed by it. However, someone there misunderstands your message, and you're going to get to tell us how the performance goes and what this misunderstanding and who it was on. On a 7 to 9 is where it gets hinky, and I get really proud of myself for coming up with weird mechanics, and we'll see if they do anything like working. On a 7 to 9, you're going to choose one of your fellow gods, and they're going to make a choice for you about how your performance gets warped. Could be that somebody burns for you. Their passion will soon consume them. The crowd goes wild and people get hurt. You gain the attention of another god who arrives and twists your performance to their own ends. Someone wildly misinterprets your message, and they will act on it shortly. Or your performance takes everything you have, leaving you drained, vulnerable, or open. That PC will give you a condition. So you're just going to make a mark down at the bottom of the characters tab. There's a little box for you to make a mark of when you've chosen one of your fellow gods for these performance choices. If you get to the point where you've rolled enough performances that you've rolled 3 7 to 9s and chosen all your other fellow gods to make these choices, you get a full advancement, because that would be really hard, and 1 XP seems piddly at that point. So full advancement if you can manage to do that. I don't know that that'll come up in a 4-session game. We'll see what happens. Are there any questions about performance, or why, or how?
I'll reiterate my question from the chat. Is your god's personality takes you for a time? Oh, heck, I didn't fix my audio.
You sound fine.
Yay, okay. Usually Hangouts tries to slowly mute me unless I fight it from the start. If your god's personality takes you for a time, is that a darkest self type thing, or something new and exciting?
That is a widgely woogly, we're experimenting, trying things out sort of phase. We're going to try it the first time it comes up for somebody as, we'll talk out, what would your god taking over mean? What would they do that you wouldn't want them to do? And we'll try and figure out what that looks like. Maybe the second time that happens to you, we'll just try your darkest self. And when we wrap up everything at the end and I get some feedback from y'all, I'm very interested in hearing which one works better, because it could totally be a situation where it's just darkest self and simpler is better.
Cool. I'm all for widgely woogly as the answer to things, so I'm excited.
Anything else? All right. And then one more. Again, you'd think it amazing given how much time we spent on character and world creation. But if you look back at it, there's not a lot of cross-pollinating of storylines. We have your backstory for a couple of ways of how you've interacted with each other, and y'all have relationships with a couple of NPCs, but those NPCs aren't in triangles with other people. You don't have a lot of cross backstory. So we have the Divine the Past move. which is we're going to sort of slowly unravel backstory and character history rather than trying to come up with it all at the beginning. So when you want to reveal or complicate your past with someone, so you can choose to do this at any time. If we're seeing an NPC on screen for the first time, then you could try and figure out like what your relationship's like. If you think that the relationship between you and another god has gotten too stale or too in their favor, you can try and reveal another aspect of how you have something on them. But when you do this, you're going to choose another character and work with their player. If it's another PC, then you're going to work with that PC. If it's an NPC or an NPC god or something, you're going to work with me. Yes, you're being very helpful. Anyways, the two of you are going to work together to frame a scene from your mutual past. The memory should be in some way, even dubiously, triggered off of something that is going on in the current scene, or some visual or some aesthetic sense. Loose connection. We're not going for high art here. So you'll choose a stat that you're going to roll with, and this stat is going to sort of permeate the scene. If it's hot, then it's going to be a very different scene than if it's dark or if it's volatile. So just sort of think about the stat that you're choosing while you're going through the scene. No, it's cool. Just open random tabs. I have time for that. So you roll with the stat. On a 10 up, the scene goes your way. You get to choose from below. On a 7 to 9, it's hard to say who came out on top. You both choose from below. And on a 6 minus, they got one over on you, and they'll choose from below. And it's choosing to either gain a string on the other person or give the other person a condition. So once we've got the scene frame, what your stat is, and what the outcome of the roll is, you and that other player will sort of work out the details of the scene, and we'll see what happened then. And if you do it with another PC rather than with an NPC, you'll both get to mark experience. Does that make sense? Again, wordy. Okay, cool. So we're gonna start this time. I was going back over the sort of layout and the things in our Carnival of Gods, and I really like the sort of twisting infinite labyrinthine mirror maze, Parvati's mirror maze, and so I think somewhere in there, in the center of that labyrinth, in a room that mortals, the general public, the outside can't really ever find their way to. Somewhere in the middle of this impossible maze, there is a room of mirrors that is like your meeting chamber, your central godly pantheon, your homeroom. And we're going to start with the Ancient One having gotten in touch with all of you and told you to gather, that he wants to share something with you. And this doesn't happen that often, but I mean, you should probably come when the Ancient One has something to say. And besides, it's always a chance to show off in front of your peers here. So I'd like to get from y'all some ideas on how this center room is structured. And more specifically from each of you, like, what does your seat or your place in this room look like? So I guess we'll start with the general vote. Do people like the idea of like a central table that everybody sits at? Do people like the idea of an open circle that you all stare across the field at each other's thrones? Do you have sort of idiosyncratic little corners? Lauren, give me a preference.
If we're in like a mirror room, I love at least like all facing each other. So we can look at our own reflection like beyond someone's shoulder to check ourselves out, but also because it sort of sets up a neat visuals for I'm looking at like someone else through like the reflections and that kind of thing. Like I dig that kind of aesthetic.
Ryan, is there a table or something in the center of y'all, or is it open space in the center?
I think there is a table or something. I don't know if people are actually at the table, but there's definitely like a round table kind of thing.
Okay. Alex, tell me something cool about this table.
I think it's eternally changing between the guards as like a clock face spins around the table. Like the actual table surface itself changes to represent like whoever the clock is pointing at.
As in like the designs and coloring of it, or the whole like structure and aesthetic of it?
Yeah, designs and coloring.
Okay, cool. So there's just, it's reflected, the table itself is reflecting impossible color shows that aren't actually there. And as it sort of turns and the main focus of it shifts from god to god, those patterns, those colors change constantly. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Love it. Then David, are you all at uniform seats/thrones? Like, is everything tied together in the aesthetics of this room, or are you each at a very like individualistic seat or throne or thingamajigger?
So here's the tricky thing. Our characters don't choose what our seats look like. Our gods chose what the seats look like. So that's sort of over the top, old school, whatever, however the god views it. And the room just creates it for it out of the subconscious of that ancient being.
Nice.
So that very much can clash with people's styles, including Amy. She does not like her her high throne with a golden mirror and Japanese arch as the back of the seat.
I like that. That makes sense. It's very like, now granted, gods aren't high school teenagers given too much money and power, but they are still pretty self-important. So that whole like your god gets to design the gaudiness of your thing is cool. I like that. So we have that general sense for this room. I'm going to come back to you, Lauren. What does your throne look like?
Oh man, well, like Tira's already wearing wings like all the time, so I like to think that when he sits in his throne, like the wings almost look like they become a part of it, but they're still like attached to him, kind of thing, for that sort of majesty. And I think it's probably very colors that are evocative and pure of like innocence and that kind of thing. So it's probably like a white marble, like not a lot of like imperfections in it and stuff. And I think it probably catches like a lot of the natural light that's bouncing around this kind of like weird freaky light show table, as well as like the mirrors and that kind of thing. So it's very like simple and minimalistic, but also like it's like very look at me, but don't look at me, but look at me, but don't look at me.
It's amazing. I like that. Ryan, tell us about your throne, I guess we're calling them. Gods aren't going to choose a chair.
Well, it might be a chair, but it's an awesome chair. Yeah, it's a throne, essentially, but without arms to it, I think. And it's jet black, shiny, and has inlaid gold hieroglyphs up and down the sides of it, like it belongs in a tomb.
Nice. Cool. Alex, what does the Moirai's throne look like?
I'm thinking it's like a very simple, old, and worn stool at the bottom, but like Game of Thrones-esque. It's like needles and scissors like piled on top of each other at the back to form like the backrest.
Oh, that's amazing! Like spindles and hoops and all sorts of things on there.
Yeah. Like the sewing ornaments.
That's so good. I love that. And David, tell us about Ami's throne.
Yes, I already said it. Definitely the back of the chair makes that traditional Japanese arch with the full, red lacquer look. But on top of the arch, if Amy would ever sit up straight, it would be kind of right around a halo right around her head, is this giant golden mirror. that seems to just radiate light. The other thing I think is my seat and Apip seats, like the thrones absolutely insist on being on the opposite ends of the table.
Your throne not very comfortable around that sun eater.
Well, it's just like you move one of the chairs and the other chair just moves.
Nice. Cool. I like this place. So which one of you do you think gets there first?
Can I add a bit that Apep's chair is always opposite Emmy's, but in possibly the most Apep thing possible, he never sits in the chair. He's always just kind of flung somewhere around the room, sort of encircling the other gods, refusing to take a proper seat.
Leaning against walls and posts, finding your lighting.
Oh yeah, it's the hottest thing possible, but also, yeah, snake.
Nice. So who do you think arrives first out of y'all? Who feels like they're an early arriver?
I feel like Tyr is pretty committed to the Pantheon. Tyr probably would arrive first, if not second. Like, unless Ami feels like Ami would.
Ami's normally pretty responsible, but she still kind of loathes, a lot of the like. She's not very excited about doing God stuff. So, plus she might get lost in the mirror maze. Let's be honest.
Yeah, is it because she gets lost or lost in her own reflection?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's especially hard for her to find her way because normally it's like, okay, shifts of light. Nope, wherever Amy's going, it's just her light's getting reflected all over the fucking place.
Nice.
It is impossible and chaotic. Tyr, you're arriving. You're making your way through the maze and towards the central chamber, and in all of the dozens, hundreds of reflections of yourself around you, twisted and warped, you start to see another figure sort of flickering in the edges and the corners. You see like a flash of curling red hair and sort of tumbling flowers, and this wave of hyacinth smell washes over you as you hear a footstep sort of to your side and at your back, and there's Parvati just out of nowhere, not in the reflections, here with you. She says, Tyr, you're here.
Poverty. How are you today? Are you well?
I'm nervous, I have to admit. Do you know why Zurvan called us? Why we're being brought together?
I would like to remain optimistic. However, I feel like things always get so dramatic whenever all of us are brought together in one space.
Yeah, I mean, last time it was that thing with Ares, and that got really bloody.
Indeed, I'd never like to see bloodshed in the Pantheon. 'Tis such a shame.
You're wise, Tyr, and gentle. You should be the one that leads us. I don't know. I always feel like Thor is leading us in strange directions.
Oh, no, I could only lead the flock from behind. I am no noble leader such as Thor, but I'm very humbled that you see such light in my guidance.
And she'll sort of chat with you as you make your way in towards the central chamber. Who do you think arrives next?
I think I'm fighting Amy for last to arrive, but I might actually get there second. I don't know. Maybe I'd plan this really badly. What do you think about the Morai, Alex?
I think the Morai are always precisely 5 minutes early to any event. Like if they get there earlier, they're just like checking their watch or checking their watch, being like, not quite yet.
Just waiting around a corner. No, it's not time to arrive yet. No. It's a minute and a half. Okay, we're good.
So if you guys are going fashionably late, then I might be second.
Pep's usual deal is probably, sorry I'm late, I didn't want to come, so...
Well, okay, actually, I have a proposal of figuring out what happens to Amy. Currently, no one knows where I am, so I'm going to roll hidden in secrecy.
Oh, cool.
Not because I want to do this, but I think it would be an interest. I think David thinks this could be an interesting result.
Well, I think it's cool too because we've talked about this mirror maze and how it sort of reflects pieces of yourself back at you, and you want to hide so much that it is hiding you. Possibly. We'll see.
I failed. Yes. I love XP.
All right, yeah. Take an XP, and we'll figure out what happens with you in a moment. Things are loading. All right, so I think we probably see Moirai show up next. So I'm curious as you're coming through the mirror maze, Moirai is reflected in all of the different reflections. I think there are different aspects and looks to the reflection everywhere. But I'm curious, like Clotho, Lachesis, Atropos, spinner, weaver, cutter. Who do you think's in charge right now? Who's wearing the skin?
I feel like Clotho is wearing the skin right now, but in the reflections that are shown, we see like the other two watching. Like it's never Clotho being reflected back.
Nice. And what do we visually see that tells us this is Clotho and not the other two? Like it can be subtle. It doesn't have to be a huge change, but just some marker so that we can start to like visualize their different appearances.
Yeah. I think. Oh, it's cool. I like the idea of like a miniature spinning wheel being like woven into the hair. It's like got this long hair and a bun around this tiny wheel. It's like the reminiscent of the spinning thread.
Nice. All right. So you're making your way through. There's reflections of you with a spindle and with scissors and different forms and different hairstyles, we'll assume for the moment, but we'll see what their changes are when we see them. And again, it's very similar. Like speaking with those different aspects in the reflection or interacting with them in a way that you just can't quite see. You see bits of Parvati's enormous eyes, her heart-shaped face, and you get that overwhelming waft of Hyacinth as again she's just around. I think she's just around a corner as you're coming up, waiting for you. She looks at you. Clotho, that's good. That's it's not Atropos. I'm sorry. I mean, I like all of you. You know I love you, but Atropos just makes me nervous, and I don't know what's going on with this meeting already, and it would just be a lot, and sort of a sign, it'd be a bad sign. She just babbles until you interrupt her.
Parvati, please don't speak ill of my sisters like that.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. No, that wasn't. I'm just worried about the whole situation, and I should accept that all parts of you are necessary for any sort of life, any sort of fate to happen. It's not good, bad, and in between. It's just different aspects, right? right? It's
We're all
not bad.
capable of beauty, and what will be will be.
Okay. No, that's good. Okay, but it's still you, and I'm happy to see you, no matter what face you're wearing. Even if I am happier about this one. So if we'll just Tyr is already here. He's waiting in the central chamber. And she leads you forward. And Tyr, as you see, look up and see Clotho coming into the central chamber. You sort of look around and notice that Parvati, who is just there having conversation with you, is not there at the moment. Is coming in with the Moirai there.
I think Tyr's wearing the getup that's present in his picture there, which is like sort of baseball cap, lots of like orange and neon yellow like shorts and like armbands and stuff with like tassels coming off and that kind of thing.
Maximalist neon angel.
Yes. And he probably takes a seat in his throne, so like his seat like has like the Tyr wings and that kind of thing just like sprouting out of them, and he just sort of like tips his cap at, is it Clotho? Clotho?
Call me Moirai.
Moirai.
Moirai. And I think he smiles and says like just on time as usual, Moirai. I wouldn't expect anything less than you. I'm pleased to see that you respect the order around here.
The order will be, whether you respect it or not. But I'm pleased to see that you are here on time too.
Of course. As I understand, there is business to tend to, and I do hope that it doesn't lend itself to bloodshed again. I would hate to raise my voice as I had to do that time prior.
It was quite the scene when you did that.
I deeply apologize. I always so regret losing my head. We should be peaceful in these times.
Indeed.
So I think it's about then when you're talking about how things should be peaceful, is when one of the mirrors in this room just shatters, explodes. The sound of like 1,000 swords hitting it, and it explodes outward into the room. And just calmly, quietly striding into the room, there's Ares. Tiny pixie cute brunette in like studded spiked biker leathers, her two silent weird creepy faceless motorcycle helmet guys behind her in their like black leathers and Spartan helmets. She looks around the room and she just looks infinitely disappointed as she strides over to her throne. It's up several steps. It itself is about 12 feet tall. It has spikes. It has sharp edges. It has colonnades. It's over the top in every way possible. And the arms are made out of gigantic boar tusks. And she just plops her tiny self down in it, sort of lounging over the arms of the chair sideways. Looks at the three of you, just sort of dangling a whip from one hand. She says, "Really? This is all that's shown up. I'm here for an official meeting, and all that's here is the junior squad."
I think before anything, like Tyr rolls his shoulders and like you get like the shattered mirror kind of like falling off of his like large angel wings, and he looks straight at Moirai and he says like, "Moirai, you hurt?"
No, of course not.
That's a relief. And I think he looks at Ares and he says, "Ares, you could have hurt Moirai." You may consider us junior staff, but we are still people. We are still beings, and you would do well not to injure anyone.
If I could hurt you with one exploding little piece of glass, I mean, do you really think you deserve to be called not Junior League? Do you really think you're on the same level with me?
Ares, violence is no way to hold hierarchy over anyone. One must always turn the other cheek and treat everyone with kindness.
Please. we must respect Ares' way of beauty as well.
Yes, you see? I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm perfect just the way I am. And I don't have to change for you because I can barely even hear you from down there.
I think Tia probably like gets Tia probably like puffs out his cheeks a bit because like Mara is like not taking his side. And says, well, I suppose at the end of the day it is not me you need to answer to for breaking her mirrors, 'tis Parvati. I doubt she will be very pleased.
It's fine, Tyr, don't worry about it. And she's at your arm, sort of pulling you away from Ares. Like, don't even worry about her. It's fine. You know, the it's magic. It'll all be fine. There's more mirrors. There are always more mirrors. Just come over here. Leave her alone.
Very well.
You're so much wiser than she is. I mean, at least Thor, not her, right?
Please, I am no wiser than any of us at the Pantheon. I just have the self restraint to exercise it with care.
Pep, I'm interested in how you show up.
Pep definitely like knows we're supposed to meet at a certain time and is like waiting until that time to actually bother approaching the mirror maze, and then just kind of leisurely strolling through the mirror maze because he doesn't want to be here, so he's not gonna hurry there. But I think finds his way through it in frustratingly good time. Because you can only pretend not to know how a mirror maze works so many times, even if it does shift around you. And also, we're like outside of the light here, so I'm a bit more clear-headed, I think. And wanders in and just kind of slumps against the wall next to the entrance that he came through. Probably that smashed mirror just kind of walks through the hole our Ares left and leans against a mirror wall and is like, really? Only all of you. I could have been anywhere else now.
And as you sort of sigh with the weight of all the uncoolness of the world on your shoulders.
And his hair falls across his face in just the right sort of way, because it's just the right length of shaggy to do that.
Oh yeah, and there's definitely the beam of light that makes that like hard shadow cut right under it on your face. You get the sort of doubled effect there.
Yeah, sort of like he knew where that was and stood right in it, but he didn't have
how
that kind
that
of
works.
forethought.
So Parvati is there at your elbow. And she says, Apep, they've been fighting. Ares is gonna start something again.
Ares is always going to start something. That's all she does.
Well, but she's gonna start something in here, and this place is supposed to be important. It's supposed to be a symbol.
Yeah, a symbol that includes Ares, so therefore fighting. What do you want me to do about it?
I don't know. I guess nothing. It's fine. They stopped for the moment. I guess it'll be fine.
Like, if you want someone to play Peacekeeper or something, look at Tyr.
I think that might be a shutdown on Parvati there.
I'm so bad at shutting people down. Yes.
I'm sorry. I was having fun, and I realized at some point in our conversation we should roll moves.
Oh, and I altered the phrasing of spirit armor to fit. If that's too broad, feel free to tell me to rein it in. I was going for Apep thinks more clearly when he's away from sunlight, and maybe Amy too.
Tabs and slowness.
I believe spirit armor specifically provides armor, so if you were taking harm, that would apply.
Yeah, but you do better at keeping your cool, which was really what drew me to it. That Apep doesn't really have cool to keep most of the time.
Cool, I like that.
Okay.
And yeah, I totally think Ami is the sort of presence that would just ruin that.
Yeah, I definitely think it doesn't work around her. Where
that
is this?
That must have been a second edition change to add the keep cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and while you're looking at that and rolling that, I do want to throw out there, Lauren. That was a very good question. I will try to pay attention to the chat, but again, tab, so I may be bad at seeing your questions in chat. Similarly, I have a lot going on in my chaotic brain, and I don't know all of your playbooks inside and out yet. I'm trying to get familiar with them, but feel free to call out in chat verbally or whatever when you think you have a playbook move or situation that's going to be better than what I'm talking about, or that fired off and I missed. And why don't you read me the wording for that integrity thing, Lauren?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I realized in that scene I was like, oh shoot, it's so awkward to be like, time out, I'm trying to like get integrity here. So I was like, I'll just wait till like the scene's over and then see what I was doing. But so integrity works like when you hold yourself to a higher moral standard reflected in your integrity stat. It starts at 0 and fluctuates from 0 to 3. Gain integrity when you follow through on something important. Take the moral high ground on an issue that matters. So I guess it depends upon like if hurting Moray in that situation matters. I don't know if
certainly the threat was there, and again, sort of like Parvati was saying, like, this place is a symbol. It's a central place. If this place doesn't matter, then what would? And I could see Opep shrugging that off, but I don't think Tyr would. So I definitely think it's important to you.
Oh, very much so.
So I'm cool with you getting an integrity out of that.
Nice. I just want to spin it so I can believe in everyone.
Opep, how'd your roll go?
I got a 3. I'm so happy.
A 3, you say?
Oh wait, that's a bit.
Okay.
I don't have cool to keep. Okay. I'm very hot. I'm not cold.
So I think we'll come back to that in a second, as we're going to go over to Ami, who has a fail out there on the table. Remember to take an XP, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that. So you've gotten to the mirror maze. You're working yourself through, and I think they're just corners, there are avenues, there are twists and turns that you've never noticed before. You guys are making me blush. You got to stop. You're working your way through, and it's just you're getting into places like you've never seen. It's dusty, it's cobwebby, and the reflections that you're seeing in the mirror, they aren't twisted versions of you anymore. They're other people. They're people dressed in much older clothes, sort of like waistcoats and very formal, and lots of skirt, long things. But you also see like flappers and sort of, you get a very 20s vibe is what I'm coyly trying to get at. Anyways, you're working yourself through, and you start to notice one person in particular. He's a boy, looks somewhere around your age. He's not dressed in particularly fancy clothes, but of course most clothes from that time look sort of fancy. And he is Asian. You can't tell exactly, like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, somewhere in there in that mix. And he starts, like, you always see him interacting with your reflection in these sort of crowd scenes. But as you're working your way through, like, he seems to lose interest in your reflection and starts looking at you, staring at you, moving up towards the glass and sort of reaching a hand against the barrier that separates towards you. He leans in closer. His breath is like fogging the inside of the mirror, and you can see that he's saying something, and he's sort of like pounding the mirror for emphasis, but you can't hear anything, like you can't hear a thud or anything. But as the sort of breath cloud clears away from the mirror, you see his eyes right there staring at you. They're piercing emerald green. And you feel some connection. You're not sure if it's good. You're not sure if it's bad. But I think I'm going to give you a condition, haunted.
I'm so good at collecting conditions, apparently.
But you can't get these green eyes out of your head.
I'm going to go now.
Yeah, how do you sort of react to this encroaching weirdness?
You know what? There's a move for this. It's called run away.
That's very true. What does it look like as you start to run away? Is it just like a scream and straight up run? Is it a fall on your butt and scramble?
So I don't think I'm in the same roller as other people, so I'm gonna try reloading it.
Strangely wise grouse is where we are.
Yeah, I'm grabbing it again. I mean, it's the role is really just, it's supposed to be purposely vague to allow any time that you're just trying to leave an odd situation. But I think it's a awkward, like, step away sort of thing. Like, I'm going to go away now, and hopefully you're not going to follow me.
Gotcha. How'd you do?
That is a 9.
Oh, no more experience for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I can't always roll 3s and have like a -1. Actually, no, dark was a +1, but.
So you're going to get away from this, but what do you choose?
Let's see. Run away. 7 to 9, choose 1. Oh, I'm totally causing a big scene. That's totally appropriate right now.
Okay, so you sort of back away, stammering, and you turn to start running, and you just turn and run like face first into a mirror that is right where you thought was an open hallway, and weirdly, because like you're awkward, people are awkward, things have happened in this mirror maze before, but this has never happened, where the mirror in front of you like wobbles and shakes and falls over into the wall in the mirror behind it, which sort of dominoes and falls into the next one. And there's this like spiraling, spreading domino crashing effect as these mirrors all just fall into each other. You hear this falling everywhere, and as the last one falls and you hear the like lingering tink tink of glass falling from different parts, it's one of these mirrors into the center room, and you see all of your fellows staring at you, but no more 1920s people, even that haunted green-eyed ghost boy.
Can I up the ante on this?
Love it.
I think all the walls fall over and crash. And then there's this giant, it's basically this giant empty space filled with broken glass. And there's Amy looking awkward, holding her nose.
And Upep looking pissed because what does he lean against now?
And I think that is enough to push poor sweet Parvati over the edge. And so yes, as the sound fades, all of these mirrors have fallen and the glass is tinkling. She's just standing near you, Upep. She was working herself up to some retort at you, and now her face is just turning bright pink, and she's sort of hyperventilating and working herself up until she just explodes. And she says, "All of you! What is wrong with you? What is wrong with all of you people? You're insane! You're animals! This was an amazing place! This magical mirror maze. It twists and changes. It's infinite on the inside. It ignores physical laws and reality, and you just break everything, yelling at each other over stupid stuff, and I don't even know what you were doing, Ami." And as she's saying this, these vines erupt out of the floor at her feet. These like thorny, flowering rose vines that grow quickly, whip around the room, begin like picking up everything and putting it back into place, and grabbing each of you very forcefully and putting you on your throne where you belong and where you can't knock over anything anymore. And can everybody please take a harm as you get thorned and scratched on your way to your thrones?
I've got things to say about this.
Can I say that Pip actually takes a step back as she starts her tirade? Like, he's thrown off balance by this. He's like, whoa, okay, cool. Yeah, and then thorned, and away he goes.
And things are beautiful and flowery and rosy, and there's petals everywhere, and that really hurt.
I think Amy's like curled up in her chair or her throne, like crying, saying, "I'm so terrible. I didn't mean to do it. I'm just a big clumsy oaf."
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
If it's like, I mean, can Tyr like pick off the thorns? Kind of like, can he like unwrap himself from the vines?
Oh yeah. They're not like, you're not like bound to the throne.
Oh no, actually, this is even better. So I think like yeah. So I think like Tyr removes like the vine from around himself very calmly, like very at peace. And I think he sort of like strokes the vine that was like held around him and like cups his hand around a flower, and he says like, "Parvati, I understand that you're feeling a certain level of anger and hostility towards our companions, that it was a mistake, and I think that one should exercise deep breathing, and lashing out is always going to inevitably cause more pain. And our life in this place is so short-lived that we should seek to give each other like warmth and love and comfort and not hurt." You're thinking it's almost like trying to turn her on. I feel like maybe he's trying to, I don't know.
I like that. Yeah. Do you like give me some lean in, significant eye contact or physical contact? Give me something that pushes it over the edge.
I was trying to do it through like the stroking of her vines.
Very suggestive stroking of the vines.
And Pep's just giving you the weirdest look, like, are you flirting with a plant?
I'm into it. Give me a roll.
Form of beauty, Pip.
This is gonna get so weird if she gives herself to me.
Moira approves. You're finally getting it.
Oh shoot! I'll grab it. I don't have a room open.
It's the bottom of the characters tab.
Perfect. I'm curious to see if she decides to give herself to me, because it's gonna get real freaky real quick. Okay. 2d6. I'll roll some couple dice. I got an 8.
Nice. So on a 7 to 9, they can either give you a string or choose one of their actions. just to play into what's going through my mind right now, the random Wictive playlist that's playing in my head right now just started playing Peach's "Fuck the Pain Away."
That's amazing.
So I think she's gonna promise something that she thinks you want, as your hand is like stroking the vine and sort of petting the flowers there. Her hand comes up the vine and sort of slides up your arm as her hand, like her fingers entwine with yours, and she looks in your eyes deeply, and she sort of winks and smiles and says, Fine, I think this is enough for now, but maybe you could tell me more about restraint and responsibility later."
I think Tyr doesn't say anything in response. I think he sort of like brings the back of her hand up to his lips, and he doesn't kiss it, but he just like presses like the back of her hand against his mouth.
Okay, Amy totally thinks that's hot and is starting to radiate. Which is going to trigger a move. But let's finish up this part, and then when you sit back down, you can make your decision on Musk.
Let me look at Musk. Does it hit everyone? Do you target someone?
It's the person who basically aroused me. Or no, it's when you break out in a sweat, the MC tells you which person is aroused. Oh, yeah. So Patrick, you determine who this affects.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I think as that little interaction is going on between you, and Ami is over in the corner sort of like hiding in shame and also hiding her face / not looking at this / totally looking at this / starting to glow, is when the table in the center of the room, where it's been slowly shifting its colors and patterns as it turns, now just explodes with like roiling smoke coming out of it. Not explodes in the physical sense, because we've had several of that recently. Let me clarify. Just has a bunch of smoke come pouring up out of it. Wraps and tendrils and sinks to the floor and sort of moves almost like a living thing, as you see a hand break, again, not break physically, just sort of like go across the plane of vision, break the surface of the table, coming up as a reflection sort of coming up out of the depths of the table, as you see this wrinkled, weathered, old black hand that pulls itself up. There's another, and slowly you see the ancient one, Zurvan, pulling himself up out of the table, cigar in his mouth, sort of blowing, pouring smoke out of his nostrils and mouth as he stands up and looks around at you and says, "We're one short yet." And just at that moment, in a swarm of giggling and laughing and chatting, Thor and her entourage arrive, swirling in through the newly like beflowered, bevined, slightly shattered mirror look. She looks around the room and its new decorations, sort of looking right past the Ancient One and not really acknowledging him much. Says, I like what you've done with the place, Parvati. It's totally sweet. And she just stops for a moment and says, I just feel, I don't know, look at me in those mirrors. This light is just so rejuvenating. And I think you're hitting Thor. Ami.
Was she, so her options are she can give me a compliment, she can give herself to me, her eyes can water and gag, or they can be a repulse, so they ridicule me about my body and give me a condition.
She sort of stares at herself in the mirror for a moment. She's like preening her hair, like, "Oh, that is get a couple snaps." She takes a couple pictures there, and in that she happens to see your reflection in the mirror next to hers, which draws her attention. And she looks over and she says, Ami, you are doing something different recently. You look sort of like wonderful. What is it, girl? Is your hair is shining? Is your makeup new? Have you grown a couple more inches? You know, that's really in this season.
Yep, she's just brighter and brighter.
And she's grabbing you and she's pulling you over next to the mirror with her, and she's like posing and trying to get even better light for her photos, but you happen to be in them now too.
Yeah, so I think this is an unintentional turn someone on, because she's just complimenting me and touching me, and like Amy's like reacting in like all sorts of like odd ways that are probably just feeding more into this.
And do you think it's you turning her on, or her sort of turning you on?
Well, NPCs don't roll against PCs, so I think
I understand that, but just
Yeah.
like the positioning of this, do you think
Yeah.
you're rolling a turn someone on, or would you be rolling like a keep your cool?
No, I think I'm rolling a turn someone on. The character is not deciding this; the player
Yeah.
is. So we're seeing if the character is unintentionally having this effect, and she is. That is an 8.
Nice. So let's see. Turn someone on 7 to 9. They can either give you a string, choose one of their actions. I think she's going to give you a string. Like you have an in with Thor because you make her look awesome. So yeah, you can definitely be around at any time you want. So this nonsense is going on over near the mirror. There's all of Thor's little followers who are like laughing and snapping pictures and sort of babbling, as echoing out over the noise comes a and Zurvan turns to you, Morai. He says, "You, child, you seem to have the sense of the gravity of this place. You seem to have the proper decorum. Could you please ask your fellows to be seated?"
I mean, I just enjoying these vines, but I should not be the one to tell them what to do. They must decide for themselves.
So I'd
Well.
like to use a string.
Okay.
Apep. I'm going to offer you an XP if you tell the Ancient One off over, you don't get to tell me what to do, I tell me what to do.
How literal does that have to be? Because I was definitely thinking that Apep just kind of pointedly gets up, continues texting. Who is he texting? Everyone he knows is here. And kind of leans pointedly against his chair, like, I'm not sitting down. You don't own me.
No, this
But
would
also,
be
he doesn't want to piss off Parvati, because she's scary today. But yeah.
This isn't Pravati. This is an XP if you tell the Ancient One off.
So it has to be more than just ignoring her, like it has to, or ignoring him. It has to be verbal.
Yes.
All right. How do you feel about that, Apep? I'm gonna mix up everyone's name.
Parvata Pep, sure. Oh no, everything's XNL ship names. Sure. So as he does this action, which he's committed to anyway, he's like, yeah, you could ask nicely or something instead of all the dramatics, old man. I mean, the room already fell apart. How much more respect do you want?
I could, but do you understand the meaning of the word God? Do you understand our place in these things?
Yeah, like, I destroy all of them. I don't know what more you expect.
And you get about halfway through that sentence before his eyes catch you. They're deep, they're infinite. You can't really stare away from them, and you just go falling through it in an eternity of nothingness, an eternity of purgatory and blackness and judgment from something that you can't affect before you sort of fall back into yourself.
Is that shutting me down? Or
I think you might be taking a condition.
Yay!
Why don't we go with existential dread? It's always fun. If we're all through, he says, turning towards turning towards Thor and the crew as she sort of like smiles, snaps one more photo, and saunters over to her throne. Her throne is glass. It's all glass from top to bottom, but running through this glass are like lightning lines of burned fulgurite formations through the middle of this clear, perfect glass that just run from top to bottom. She sort of clacks up the throne and sits down in it. Fine. We're all here. It's like, the best place we could be hanging out. It definitely doesn't smell like old popcorn still. What is it? What are we here for? And the Ancient One ignores that, steps down calmly off the table, and begins, circling between all of your thrones, sort of in and out, this line, this sort of snaking form of smoke following along behind him. He says, "You are 8, but you know that there are more to come. And though even I don't know where they are, who they are, I feel a new one approaching. There will be a 9th in your pantheon before long. I thought perhaps you should prepare."
Pep just mumbles to himself, trying not to draw too much attention. Yeah, I can count 2.
He's staring at Tyr at the moment, sort of like, what do you have to say about this?
Of course. How should we prepare to receive the knights? How can we guide them? How can we keep them on the path?
You should make sure they have, and he looks around, the shattered mirrors being held together by vines, somewhere grand to call their home. Perhaps a family to welcome them, or at least colleagues, rather than squabbling children.
Of course. Well, we disagree. We are but one flock. It follows.
No one said you were each the same family's children. You could be squabbling other people's children. They're not family at all. Sorry. Totally not in character.
And I think Tyr probably shoots a look at Thor when he says, of course, we're all but one flock.
Yeah, fine. So we've got a new one coming in, and we're gonna welcome them and do all the nice stuff, that we just. It's totally fine. We'll get a new one in. We'll have a new fancy chair. It'll be the best. There'll be a new junior mascot, Ami. You're moving up in the world. See, you're my new favorite, and you won't be the youngest anymore. Well, I mean, you might still be the youngest.
I don't think that they come much younger than 12, Thor.
I'm not 12!
And Alpha just looks at you like, it's okay. I know you're a kiddo. Oh.
You're such an asshole!
Why don't you give me a shutdown there?
Yay, I'm gonna fail! That's a 4. Oh wait, no. What's my cold? Yeah, that's a 4.
You were not wrong.
Milking all the XP here.
Let's see. Yeah. So I think you're mocking, you're dismissing, and Parvati just leans across the table. Jamie, leave her alone.
Don't fucking call me Jamie.
Why?
And it's just instant rage mode. No, it's not.
Wait. His name is Jamie?
Shut up! No one talk. The adults are talking now.
I mean, what? I turned to Tyr. Why didn't you tell me his name was Jamie?
Really? You want to go with me again, little darkness god? We're in the center of my power. Where are you? Hiding in some shadow somewhere? Out of the light?
I do my best work when I'm out of the center of my power. I don't know about you. I don't need to draw in a shadow maze.
Yeah, I feel better when you're not around either.
Just, do you want to go? Okay, I know Zervin's trying to do stuff here, but I'm ready anytime.
Children! Fine. I had thought maybe you would be excited that there would be a new member to your family. I thought maybe you could gather some divine decorum. But I see it's just more squabbling, it's more fighting, and he looks over at Thor. I assume more partying. Fine. Have your own ways. Do what you see fit. Maybe I'll find a way, some time to tell you when your new fellow has shown up. Maybe they'll actually act like a god. And he takes deep breath on the cigar. Basically, the cherry of it just speeds from the end all the way down to the tip, drawing in the whole thing at once before he lets out this explosive huff of smoke that swirls up around him everywhere and through the whole room. And when it sort of clears, coughing, he's gone.
I mean, it's not like any of us know how to be a god.
And Thor looks over at you. Oh, honey, that is the absolute most tragic thing I have heard in forever. Listen, you obviously need some coaching. Just come to me at some point. I'll give you tips. I'll give you fashion. I'll give you dresses. I'll give you something that's not dark and shapeless and I'm not sure made out of polyester.
I like this hoodie. It's comfortable.
Don't worry. We can change that about you.
But I don't want to change me.
Of course you do. Anyways, I don't have time to be sitting here arguing with you in your busted mirror maze in the middle of this sad old carnival. I have a performance to plan. There's going to be a new god showing up. Well, everyone needs to remember who's the real queen bitch around here. I'll see you all there tonight. Toodles. And she sort of just starts flouncing out with her crowd, already got her phone out, already like live streaming an update about her performance tonight. And just as like a little backstory, Thor doesn't give a lot of performances. Thor is the first one of the Pantheon. She definitely views herself as like the de facto leader and trendsetter for everyone. And those of you that have been around longer, definitely not Ami, but some of the others, like you've gotten hints or maybe seen some of Thor's very few performances, and things tend to go wonky. There tend to be problems. There tend to be a lot of injuries.
You definitely see Tyr with like a rather grey face as Thor like swans off to prepare for her performance. And internally, he's probably thinking like, "Oh no, someone's better go look, keep an eye out on Thor to make sure no one gets hurt."
So, Tyr, you want to lay bets on body count this time?
But I always lose.
Your luck's got to change eventually. I mean, Taika's not here to hog it.
Isn't it so uncouth to bet on people getting injured, though?
I mean, it's not like they're getting less hurt if you don't make money on it.
Parvati comes over and says, Tyr, that's you don't know. That's not going to happen. This will probably be a good one. I mean, we've got a new Pantheon member coming. It's like auspicious signs. Obviously, this is just going to be a rave, a party.
I turn towards to Morai. I'm like, is it? Like and this is a whisper, so the rest of the room can't hear.
And I think in a very loud voice, Morai's going to say, "No, of course it's not. We're committing yet another to a death." And for what?
So I'm sort of curious. We're talking about how this might go. We have, I was going to say, a unicorn with a move that could trigger, or a ghoul with a miracle that could trigger. Does someone feel like calling the outcome?
Can we both call the outcome?
I'm into it. Lauren, you called. You want to do your move? Why don't you read your move to us and explain how this is going to go?
I would love to. So it's called prophecies. When you predict the outcome of someone else's action well before they undertake it, roll with integrity. Erase one integrity after you roll, and then it's like on a 10 up and blah blah blah. Like you're on a 10 up, your prediction of success or failure will come true, though perhaps not exactly as you foresaw. On a 7 to 9, if the action is attempted, your prophecy will come true, but an innocent will pay a terrible price.
All right. So, what are you calling for prophecy here?
I think tier. Ooh. I think it's got to be something like Tyr places an arm on Parvati's shoulder and gives her like this really sincere, like humble look, and he says, "Parvati, I'm worried this new family member will be torn between the heavens and the underworld, and that if we don't care for them and guide them and show them the light, they will inevitably fall to darkness."
Okay. So you're calling about the new
They're
Pantheon
corruptible.
member.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm calling about the new Pantheon member. Is it okay?
No, that's fine. No.
Awesome. If I could give them a condition, I would give them the condition incorruptible.
All right.
I will roll.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I got snake eyes.
Y'all are amazing at XP.
on a what does it say on a miss?
Does it say anything?
It does not say anything. But on a 7 to 9, it'll come true, but someone will pay a terrible price. So I'm assuming it only gets worse from there.
I mean, the default is if a roll doesn't say what happens on a miss, Patrick just gets to make a move.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and very fast. It works.
But yeah, so your prediction was that this new god will be on the edge, very corruptible, but that the right sort of effort could call them to the heavens, to the light.
Yeah, totally.
All right, we go ahead and mark your XP, but I'm gonna hold the move on that for a while, and we'll see what happens when they actually show up. And then Moirai, did you want to try and do any predicting of the future? You happy to see what comes?
I did.
Okay.
I think Moirai is going to stare directly at Tia, and with like these vacant eyes just glossed over, is going to say, "They'll be torn between two sides, but it's the edge that cuts. This edge will cut the string of their life, and they'll fade into oblivion within the next 2 years. They'll be destroyed from the inside." And yeah.
Nice.
Roll for this.
Unless you have a particular move there. Oh.
Give them the condition morbid and roll to turn them on with cold.
Sorry, my computer is exploding in confusion. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, everything's frozen. Do roll a thing. And I assume you're pointing this at Tyr?
Yeah.
Cool. Turn them on with news of someone else's impending doom.
Horrific fate. That is a 7.
Hey, it's not a failure. So that was turn them on. So Tyr, you can either give the Moirai a string or choose one of those options.
This moves. Oh, there you go. I think I'm going to give you a string.
Nice.
Because you don't have any strings of me, do you?
I do not.
Yeah, there we go. Now you can try and make me do things I don't want to do.
All right. So cool. So yeah, Parvati's sort of tugging on your sleeve there, Tyr, and she's like, "So, are you gonna go? You gonna go to Thor's show?" That rhymed a lot. That was really weird.
Oh, it's okay, Poverty. Rhyming is part of what we do, isn't it? As performers, as artists. But I do not. I do not look forward to it. But yes.
And there's a harsh laugh from across the room as Ares sort of slings herself up out of her throne. I think it's going to be an absolute fucking disaster, and I can't wait. She strides out of the room laughing and not looking back at any of you chumps.
Tyr probably ages like 10 years. And then he probably looks to Apep and he says, like, so you'll go? You're gonna?
Of course I'm gonna go. I mean, what Ares said. It's gonna be terrible. I need to see it.
You have little faith.
I
Real
think,
question is, can you get it together to actually go? Or is that going to be too much for you?
What are you talking about?
Oh no, the poor people will get hurt. I can't watch it. Oh no.
I think he fixes Apep with a look of like, you're so young, even though Tyr's like not that much older than you. It's just like, that's precisely why I must go. I must go to try and protect people from Thor and Ares' wanton, impulsive.
Why are
You don't need to
supporting this charade
chaperone.
at all? Why are we going to this? Why are we helping these symbols of death?
What would you suggest we do, Morai?
We boycott it. We tell them to run for the hills.
I mean, you are a symbol of death. Or at least one of you
It's
is.
not me.
I can't keep you straight.
But that's why we must go. We must go to stop them from exploding, from hurting everyone, right? I fear that no matter how much we try and boycott this, people are drawn to Thor and Ares, much as moths are drawn to flame.
Did you really believe what they said about us being the juniors? We're gods as much as they are.
Indeed.
I mean, moths only go to, fire because that's the only light around.
He's perhaps suggesting we put on an alternative performance to draw people away from them.
I mean, that's cute, but do you think people are really going to pick you over Thor?
Oh, I wasn't planning.
Maybe they'll pick all of us over Thor.
I mean, I don't want to try to snub Thor. I mean, she's kind of nice in her scary sort of way.
Okay, so I sort of see two sides here. We have Tyr and Apep, who are sort of wanting to go to Thor's show for different reasons. Moirai and Ami, who are suggesting something else, again, for their own reasons. Anybody have a string on the other side, or preferably two strings on the other side that they would want to try and pull here?
I think everyone's got strings on Apep.
It's funny how that works.
That's just because I'm so important to this pantheon that everybody, wants part of this.
Oh, it's so sweet and cute.
I have strings in all of you, okay? Shut up.
If no one's going to pull any strings, I sort of see this turning out in a tie, where you might have two of you trying to do a counter performance and two of you there at Thor's.
Oh, we could go to Thor's and try and twist it.
That's
Make your own
also
boycott
very interesting.
there.
Can I make a prophecy? I'm kidding.
Burn through that integrity. Burn it.
I want to save at least one. Like I mean, although Morai, I don't think it takes a visionary to envision how that will explode, but I trust and believe in you and your foresight.
Tyr, I think I'm willing to give you another integrity for pushing on the going to the performance for the reasons that you're pushing. And are people happy with this sort of like hybrid plan that will go to the performance to experience and or watch over people, but maybe we'll try and divert things and change how it comes out?
Opep is totally behind the maybe we ruin everything plan.
Yeah, Lauren as a player is so on board. It sounds like amazing. Here as a character is shitting his pants.
Amy is not necessarily on board with her own plan, but David wants to see this happen.
Well, people definitely aren't going to let you back out. You came up with this whole plan.
There is one thing, though, I want to do before we leave.
Uh-huh.
Amy is going to try to apologize to Pravati.
Okay. So I think we're going to take a break here.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll have some like people's preparations for the performance, and then we'll have Thor's performance itself. But why don't we go ahead and take let's do a 10-minute break, come back at 18 after the hour. And during your break, I have some lovely music, a video, a performance, so you can get a little taste of what Thor's shows might feel like. So I'll see y'all in 10 minutes. Enjoy.
We're such terrible gods.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm awesome at this.
I think I'm the boring god.
To be honest, I don't think any of us can compete with the NPCs here. Like,
I know, right?
they're way too cool for us.
They're way too cool for us. We're the nerds.
Oh,
You
Amy
just
is
see them
totally
as
a
a-
nerd.
You should just see them as a challenge, you know, something to aspire to.
Something to destroy.
Playing back to Apep, just like walking through this mirror, shattered by another god. It's like, whereas a dramatic entrance, we can't live up to their standards.
I don't know.
I mean, if I broke a mirror after she already broke a mirror, it would just look like I was copying her. You can't. There's no point.
Amy did kind of outdo Ares by breaking all of the mirrors.
It was a constant escalation, that whole scene. Such a peaceful, serene place for you to all meet. And this is why we can't have nice things, children. I'd like to go around the circle real quick and just hear from people what their ideas, plans are for getting ready for the performance or scenes in between. David, you had said you wanted to track down Parvati for what sort of thing?
Yeah, well, actually, I thought like while we were in the room, Amy was going to try to apologize for all the mirrors because, of course, it's Amy's fault. And it's because she's so awful and awkward, and oh my god, I'm terrible.
Oh my god, do you have a little Sebastian shirt?
Sorry, yeah, I do. It's even got the like a really ugly emboss.
That's amazing.
Sorry, I disrupted everything.
No, that's fine. Okay, so cool. That's what you're wanting to do. Alex, do you have any ideas for anything in between now and the performance?
I might go see Ares.
Interesting. What sort of thrust do you have there?
I wanted to see if she'd help with the let's overthrow this party plan.
Okay. Ryan, you have any ideas for a pep?
I think Apep's pretty content to kind of wait and watch what other people are doing and see whose plan looks like it's going to explode in the most interesting way. But I did have an idea for a dramatic exit.
Okay.
So as we finish this, and Apep's like, you all are boring. I think sort of wheeling out of the mirror maze and kind of doing a full loop. It looks sort of like a giant black cobra and sort of like digital distortion and just crashes on Apep in a moment like a bass drop and kind of swoom through the ground and he's gone.
Wow. And he just glitched right the fuck off. Okay.
Yeah, he's glitching right through the floor. He'll meet you in the next level.
All right. If you want to dramatically reappear in someone else's scene because you think it would be interesting, I'll leave that open for you. Or if you think of something by the time we make it around the circle, but we'll sort of leave you in your sulky underground limbo for the moment. I mean, cool, super cool underground limbo.
I mean, you meant awesome, but you mispronounced it as sulky.
Awesome.
People do it all the time. It's understandable.
It's just this weird speech tick I have. I'm sorry. And Lauren, anything for Tyr?
I kind of envision a scene with what was the name of our boss guy?
Zurvan, I think, but I'm bad at names. That may be totally off.
I feel like it was Zurvan. Zurvan?
Zurvan, yes.
Zurvan.
A totally normal name that everyone remembers.
Zurvan. Yeah. I almost envision like a Tyr hanging around until like everyone's gone and then like trying to steal a quiet moment with Zurvan if he'll materialize. Pretty please.
Interesting. I like that. So yeah, we have Apep sort of like offensively fucking off. Things explode, things get a bit screechy. Everybody sort of a feedbacky noise. The rest of you sort of disperse unless one of you has a particular greeting or a send off that you want to give to the others.
Just that just that Tyr will take Apep up on his bit, and Tyr will bet that, unlike every time that's come before now, there will be no injuries at this event.
Oh, such sweet dreams you have for the
Apep
world.
is so disappointed in you.
All right, so you're sort of dispersing, and Ami, I think you find Parvati outside of the mirror maze building, sort of around the back, the like employee entrance sort of area of it, just with her, slumped against the wall with her head down, sort of absent-mindedly picking at these flowers that are just growing around her sort of nonstop and falling over and growing again.
So Amy does the kind of like approach with her head down and like kind of shuffling her foot, waiting for Pravati to like acknowledge her.
And she's rather self-absorbed for a moment, but she does eventually pick up that you're there and being very quiet. Oh, sorry, Ami, I didn't see you there. Are you all right? That was really rough in there. How are you feeling?
I just wanted to say I'm sorry about the mirrors. It was there was this little boy in the mirror, and I think he might have been related to Amaterasu, and I don't know what it was, and it was really scary, and I couldn't find the way back,
Oh, sweetie,
and I ran
it's
away,
okay.
and
No,
all
no,
the
no, no.
mirrors just fell, and I'm just tearing. Oh.
Sweetie, no, it's fine. I know you. I know you didn't do that on purpose. I mean, you're not Ares or fucking Apep.
I'm just like, why can't I just be normal? I'm huge, and and people just always want to pay attention to me, and I'm just.
But sweetie, don't you see that's the thing? You are huge now. You're like one of the biggest things in the whole world. And your size, I mean, that's nothing to like this light that you have inside you. We're here. We're here to inspire people. We're here to fix them. We're here to find the broken pieces of the world and lift them up. And like, what could be better than that? What could
I
be
mean,
more important than that?
it doesn't really seem like people like Apep are looking to fix people.
Well, not everybody starts at the same place on the path.
Thor
Apep,
seems Thor doesn't kind of seems more into herself than helping other people. It's Zervan and people keep on saying that we're here for the benefit of people, but are we?
you've got to look at the broader picture on me. Like, Thor's affecting millions of people. Everyone looks to her. Everyone sees her confidence and her purpose and her just like living in her space and her body so confidently, so amazingly. Everyone sees that all over the world. She inspires like millions of little girls to be whatever they want to be.
I mean, but people do that on their own.
Well, yeah, but when we do
Like
it, it's
Lady Gaga.
important.
But I mean, Lady Gaga doesn't. She's not one of us. Is she one of us? No, she's been around for more than 2 years.
No, she's old. She's like old. She's definitely not one of us.
And like Obama, he inspired an entire country. Like, and we're just a bunch of teenagers.
This is something deeper. This is something spiritual. This is, like Zurvan said, this is something leaking out of humanity. I mean, can't you feel something just draining out of the world? Can't you feel beauty and kindness and color and art just leaving us? Like, why would they even be here? This place is so terrible. But we can change the room, we can change the set, we can change the world. We can make it a place where beauty wants to come to, where everyone's better.
I mean, I think it's great, but do we really have to give up on being people to do that?
No, no one wants you to give up on being a person. Just be all of the person. Be everything that you are meant to be and could be and were never supposed to be all in one. Just be it all. You don't have time to be yourself in pieces.
I mean, is just pretty happy just being Amy before, the growth spurt and the God spurt and all of this.
Well, imagine the Amy's out there in the world that don't have anyone to look to. Imagine what you could say to them.
Well, sorry for the mirrors. I hope they're not too hard to fix.
Snap of a fingers. How hard could it be?
Right. Okay, bye. Like, Amy literally does not know what to say anymore.
That's adorable. If you have an idea for a move in there, maybe, but I'm very happy with how that went, just as it was.
Yeah. I don't think she was sweating there or radiating. No, I don't think it needs a move.
Cool. I'm sorry, it slipped my mind. Alex, what did you said you were wanting to do?
Oh, go have a chat to Ares.
That's it. Right. So where would you find her? Do you have a particular idea for a setting where you might find her? Or do we want to figure out like where her home spot here is in the carnival? Or a biker bar, that's not bad. Self-tanning.
Carnival biker bar sounds good to me.
Well, I mean, it's Atlantic City. Like, there's definitely a sleazy biker bar within a couple of blocks. Why wouldn't there be? So yeah, there's not like a role involved or anything, but how do you find your way to her? Like, what is it that you follow to get to her? Or do you just know that she's going to be here?
Maybe like in the Moirai tent. It's like if I think of the thread of a certain person, I can like scry their whereabouts on the inside of the fabric.
Nice. So this tent, we talked about it some last time. Like, is it a big sort of spacious tent? Is it like close and claustrophobic? It's big.
It's a big one. I'm thinking like the one they'd use for like big stage shows where you have like lions jumping through hoops.
Nice. And you have all of this like just insane amounts of embroidery and thread and stuff through all the walls of the tent. It's constantly shifting, moving.
Yeah. It's meant to be like an animated picture of things. But I mean, I'm a god. Why can't I change it at will, right?
So what do you see in the pictures that tells you where Ares is?
I think it'll just be like the vision of like the whiskey on the bar, or like some shot that I've seen so many times that I just know where it is by now. It's like, oh, that scratch in the table, that brand of whiskey in the bottom left. I know where that is.
Nice. So I think we sort of like cinematic scene fade from this like tapestry thread representation of this bar. It fleshes out, becomes shiny, solid, real. It's the real place. And there you are walking in the door or popping up oddly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what doors are for, right? You haven't seen one used properly yet. Why not?
So yeah, you come in this bar. The music is turned up to like 13. Fuck 11. There's people like dancing, sort of moshing, probably a bit more, and definitely a couple of fist fights going on in the corners. There's Ares sitting calmly at the bar, not really paying attention to anything going on around her, and drinking straight from a bottle of whiskey, flanked by her two silent attendants on either side of her.
I think I'll go sit down like the next to one of the attendants and call over to her. Say, hey, Ares.
They're actually standing. So if you wanted to sit next to her, they'd let you pass, probably with just a tap on Ares' shoulder there.
Oh, nice. Will do. So I'll say, so you're going to Thor's show?
Fuck yeah. I mean, would you miss this? It's gonna be a mess.
But I mean, it's a mess. It's a celebration for welcoming another one into the fold.
Well, I mean, we don't want them to get the wrong idea about us. What sort of message would it send if we were all peaceful and cordial and came with flowers?
But do we want them to think we're welcoming at all? Do we want more of us?
We. There's so many of you in there, you can't see something individual. What do you want?
I don't want we want another person to be sentenced to this.
Honey,
how long have you got, Ares? You called us junior. How many years are left? How many months are left?
She slams the bottle down on the bar, and it shatters into glass that spreads everywhere. She just looks at you. The fuck do you care? Don't you have your own calendar to be keeping track of? Look, this is a fucking ride that we're all trapped in together. No one gets off, no one gets out. So if there are a couple more people that have
coming on,
we couldn't stop anything. Could you stop Zervan from doing what he did to you? Could any of us? Do you even understand what it is that he fucking did? He's been around for what? Forever? This has been around for what? Forever? And we're just going to stop it because, like, you don't like it? Look, my theory is if we have a couple more people trapped in here, at least it's not so fucking tragic when I die.
Is that what you care about? What it's going to be like after you're gone?
Again, what do you care about? You're here. I'm here. And I'm just give. What do you have to give to this conversation, this back and forth? What the fuck do you want?
Look, me and the others, we're going there to warn them. To warn the other 4, whoever's out there, that they need to run. They need to escape whatever Zervan is planning. Whatever time they have left to enjoy it. And hopefully live longer than we will. That's what I have to give.
Roll me a turn someone on. Not
Alrighty.
exactly in the like, probably not in the sexual sense, although like Aries is wild, maybe something will come of it. But I'm interested to see whether you crack through her sort of drunken nihilism here.
Nice. Me and Rolfio Party do not get along, so give me a second.
It's perfectly okay.
That is a 7.
All right. I can either give you a string or choose one of the reactions. She'll look at you. There's a fresh bottle in her hand. She takes a draw from it, just staring at you the whole time. She just says, "Are you serious? Like, you're what? You're fate? That's what people called you? That's what your name is? You think you could actually find the others before Zervan?"
Well, I'm gonna have to try.
That's not the most impressive reassurance that I've ever heard, but what the fuck? That could be interesting. So what?
You're in?
You want a boring performance? Nothing? What do you
Wanna
see?
take it
Foresee
over.
stopping Thor? You want to what?
I want to take it over.
Thor's performance.
Thor's performance.
The Thor.
Lee Thor.
Oh, that is amazing. Keeping eyes locked with you, she just swigs back like half of this new bottle. Slams it down on the bar, also shattering it. Before she holds her hand out to you to shake. She says, "Fine. This sounds like a much bigger mess. I'm on board."
Thank you. Well, put a hand out to. Puts her hand out to. Fuck.
And I think as the two of you shake, like the music goes up another couple of notches. Everything goes from any sort of pretense of like dancing or moshing to it's just a straight up bar brawl around you, as you can either stay and drink with Ares in the middle of it, or you can work your way out through the chaos and out on the street.
I feel like a drink is a pretty good idea right now.
Nice. So Tyr, you're looking for Zervan.
Yeah, indeed. I have something I want to share with him.
Sorry. Stiff. Yeah. I think you find him down by the ocean on the
nice.
beach. It's like late afternoon, almost towards evening, but the sun is starting to hang low and the sky's starting to shift from like blue into purples, and it'll eventually go to looks like a full red orange sunset when it gets there. But he's there just sort of sitting cross-legged on the beach, He's got some dark sort of robe, caftan, Sherwani sort of looking thing on out of a rough spun fabric. He's got like a woven hat on his head, and he has a cigar there going with smoke just curling around his head and neck and shoulders as he stares out at the sea.
We definitely get that shot of like Tyr behind him, like the sea breeze like ruffling his like angelic wings. He sort of stands like just observing Zervan for like several long pregnant minutes. And then he's got considered like well muscled, like arms folded as he sort of regards like this man in the ocean as like the sun setting, which is like very fitting given the news that he has to give.
No matter how hard you stare at the ocean, it's still just going to be the ocean.
I can't help but be somewhat jealous of its stability and its never-ending stretch into eternity, whereas we are just but mayflies in the grand scheme of things.
It's not many people you hear calling the ocean stable. A rock.
No, I suppose it's rather turbulent, but I find today it's quite beautiful. I'm glad that I'm here to witness these evenings.
It's where you were meant to be.
And speaking of turbulence, I have something to share with you that I did not think was appropriate to share with everyone present, but I could deeply seek your counsel.
What is it, child? Come, sit. We'll talk.
I think Tyr like, yeah. I think he definitely plops down like beside Zavan in the sand and sort of stares out at the ocean, and you get like the gulls and stuff like cawing and like the rush of like the gentle like rush of like the sea. And then after like several long moments, he like says while still like locking gaze with the waves, like, Parvati's going to die. And I would like to roll proxy.
Okay, this went so well the first time.
Yeah.
This is already a given. Would you like to specify your prophecy?
Yes. I think like so Tyr says like Parvati's going to die. There's like a real long silence. He says, I know that we'll die. We're all doomed to no longer exist one day. Some sooner rather than others, but I fear that I know that Parvati's death will not be upon the conclusion of her 2 years. What I saw was violent. What I saw was cruel. What I saw was too much.
You
And it was happening soon.
You're seeing more. Your eyes were not so opened even just recently.
I think it was the mirrors. The mirrors were an omen. Seeing Parvati's shattered face splintered 1,000 times over.
He turns towards you. He stares at you directly in the eyes, takes a deep breath off the cigar, and blows it out his nose and the corners of his mouth as these tendrils like wind around you and come up towards your head to sort of, you can almost feel them touching the sides of your head. As he says, "What, child? What did you see?" Why don't you go ahead and roll?
Okay. Oh, nice. I got chills. I can roll these cursed purple dice again. I got. What do I'm gonna check the stat on that. Oh, it's just a flat roll. I got an 8. On a 7 to 9, the action is attempted. If the action is attempted, your prophecy will become true, but an innocent's life will pay a terrible price.
So yeah, these tendrils they touch the side of your face, and you feel yourself like slipping away, sort of like the riptide has come up in the water here, sort of grabs you by the feet and pulls you out of your body, and you see it's hard to see. It's dark, and there's something in your eyes. There's smoke, but you see fire. You see flames. You hear screaming, and you hear chanting before you come back into yourself.
Oh, nice. I was gonna. I was also thinking, like, I was totally picturing it like sort of silhouetted. Like, we can't tell like who it is, right? But we get like the 1, 2, 3, 4, like, and then it's done.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's sort of that, like, you hear a voice quietly sort of murmuring that's somehow coming out over all this noise, and the scene shifts from a different perspective of the fire each time you hear the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the snap happens and you just fall over backward on the sand.
A god's gonna kill Papari. That's my prophecy.
Interesting.
Fucking Yapep.
I didn't do anything yet.
Yet. So that was all beautiful. Oh, that was neat. I like a good prophecy. Apep, do you have any preparations before the performance? Anything come to you? Or do we move on? Because at the very least, I need to know what you're wearing. We all need to know what you're wearing. The world needs to know what you're wearing.
I don't think we see any real preparations on Apep's part, so much as when Tyr wraps up this whole prophecy thing and is finally ready to head to the show. Before he can get there, we hear that same kind of like rising distortion thing, and there's the same looping serpent sort of motion, except it kind of just shatters into digital distortion as Apep lands and kind of does a skipping step, like he hit faster than he expected. And he's, of course, dressed impeccably. Again, somehow the lighting is perfect right where he stopped, even though he did that kind of skipping step a little bit out of the light where he would have been landing. How does he do it? We just don't know. And he's got, black skinny jeans, black leather jacket, and there's a patch on the back that's like a Wadjet eye, but slashed, like he took knives to it or something before actually put it on the jacket, which is such a weird extra thing to do, but apparently he did. We don't know. And his boots that he's always wearing, because he can't be any shorter than Ami than he is already.
True. Very true. This is very important. So where you're appearing in front of Tyr?
Probably like right next to Tyr, as Tyr is moving places. I don't really know where he would be going, but Apep falls right into stride with him after that kind of bangs distortion screech.
Well, why don't we say outside of the club itself? We'll skip ahead to performance time. You know that she's going to be going up soon. This is in New York City. So as we go through the doors, I would definitely like to hear what Tyr is wearing. But as we go around, we're also going to get a paint the scene on this club. So this is like the new trendy hotness in New York City clubs. So I want to hear from each of you. How can you tell? What do you see that says to you, like, this is the current hottest spot? So I want to start with Tyr there. We need to know what you look like, obviously. But then what do you see as you come through the doors of this club with Apep at your side?
Yeah, awesome. So I think Tyr's probably wearing like, he's probably wearing outfit clothing. He's probably got his banjo slung over like one arm, and he still has little wings. Obviously, I think he's probably got like triangle of like orange across like one half of his face, and then like a triangle of yellow across the other, with like some like lines of like black lines as well. It's still very like gross neon, like 90s kind of like get up. And
Cubist tribalism.
yeah, the techiest vibe, definitely. And I think like we know this place is the coolest, hottest, trendiest club because it has some real good like 2K18 like bisexual lighting going on all over the place. So like real poppin' like magenta, like light, and this like gorgeous deep like royal neon blue, which are like totally the colors for the scene right now.
Amazing. And Apep, what do you see in here that tells you this is the hottest club right now as you walk through the door?
Oh, I'm gonna go for obvious, I guess. As we walk right through the door, unfettered, you can see that there's a different door, a door for mere mortals, and there is a line stretching probably around the block multiple times of people who just can't get in here.
And never will. They're just the saddest little people that don't deserve to be here. Do you say anything to Tyr as you're walking in together?
Oh, yeah, as he falls into step, he's like, oh, I knew you'd wait for me. Broad wink. And then, you got a fucking banjo?
Sorry. Oh my god, sorry. That's so hard to be cool when you've got a banjo. I'm trying to figure out how to like reconcile those two things. I think Tyr, like, I think actually like the broad grin and the wink, like he like blushes a little bit on the heights of his cheeks. And he probably tries like a bit of banter, which he's like not super good at. I think he like gives Apep like a real awkward like shoulder punch. and says like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a fair bet if we aren't around together to see it happen, is it?
Apep actually like rocks a little with the shoulder punch, like he's playing a log here. He kind of rubs his arm like, oh, you hit me so hard, and is just grinning like the proverbial Cheshire snake, I guess.
And there's totally a moment where Tyr like looks shocked and is like, oh my god, did I hurt you? And he like, leads a little bit closer. He's probably trying to roll turn someone on.
Up was also trying to roll to turn someone on. After a second, he was going to come back. So yes,
I'm good with dueling rolls. Let's start with Tyr.
Who turns the other person on harder, or doesn't fail.
I'm so delighted by all of this right now. Okay, I'm gonna roll my cursed dice.
And what is your moment that really hits home that turns someone on here, Tyr?
I think it's like he puts his like warm hand on like the spot where he punched and like gives Apep's jump like a comforting squeeze and leans in real close and murmurs in like his in like whispery indie voice like, I'm so sorry, you okay?
Whispery indie voice. Roll for whispery indie voice.
I got some bonuses for that, but I got a 4. So this not goes down.
What is happening? All right, Apep, show him how this is done.
Apep leans in at that, like, oh no, did I hurt you thing? At sort of the same moment Tyr does, and stays a little too close, just a little too long, and is going, no, I'm fine. Yeah, there's nothing you can do to me. But we both know it just wouldn't be the same without each other, huh?
So yeah, give me your roll.
Holy fuck, I got an 11.
All right.
I am so hot. Oh, actually, did I get too hot? Nope, I only got a 10.
Well, you'll just have to do with that, getting the highest result.
Yeah.
So you get a string on tier there.
Ooh.
I think, in fact, we're going to go easy here, and you're going to get 2 strings on tier. And tier, you need to choose a reaction from below.
Oh, yeah, totes. Oh, okay. I'm gonna pick. I. Oh, shoot. I'm really torn between what Lauren wants to do and what Tier wants to do.
Do you want to think about it for a moment as we circle around to the other two?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So, Moirai, Ami, how are y'all getting there? And are you coming together or separately?
So Amy's whole thing is to like her performance is flash mobs, and I think the whole goal is to make this less violent. So the only idea that David was coming up with was to do a flash mob performance of Peace and Love on the Planet Earth from Steven Universe.
I like the sound of that.
And of course, Amy being Amy, she would play the part of Peridot. Tallest Peridot ever. So she's probably like getting her flash mob gang together, and probably one of them has a van.
Nice. So you're gonna go en masse and try and infiltrate this performance here.
We're going to hit the line.
Oh, she doesn't know about the other entrance, does she?
Nope. She does not know that she's going after people who are never going to see this concert.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Why don't you go ahead and make me keep your cool roll to try and stand out and not just be lost in this crowd forever. The danger, I think, here being that, you're just left outside until you force your way in. But meanwhile, we're going to hear how the Moira is getting here.
I think I've been playing too much Cyberpunk because my main idea is to do like a halo jump of the Moirai in like incredibly 3D clothes. It's like floats down from the sky, trailing thread into the atmosphere in front of this line to make like as much of an entrance as possible.
I think Fraser would be proud. So yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of you actually like falling from the sky and sort of like magicking your way through the ceiling to come falling through this club too. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I dig it.
So yeah, you said you have like a lot of fringe and thread coming off of your outfit?
Yeah.
What's your outfit itself look like right now?
I figured it'd be like a long gown / dress thing, but like instead of sleeves, it's just got like thread going to rings on the hand. And in true over the top performance style, there's like thread sewing the Moirai's eyes shut.
Oh wow. Cool. That's right, I'd sort of forgotten about your like self-stitched body.
Yeah. Metal.
That's metal as hell. So yeah, I think you come like flapping down out of the clouds. We get a sort of silent with just wind rushing moment of you coming down. We hear the sort of flapping of the fabric of your dress. And I think from the outside, as you're falling towards the ceiling, all these threads like extend out towards you, towards the roof of this building, to just like impossibly pull apart the structure of this building and stretch it open so that you can just come falling through. As obviously you chose the right moment, because it's just when all lights in this place, they sort of turn towards the center of the ceiling where you're going to come falling through and make this like splash spotlight for you to come through on. Maybe. I'd also like to keep your cool from you. Or you could do a miracle to pull this off without rolling.
What's the point? No dice. Gotta get some XP somehow, right?
Y'all are good at it. Have people been remembering XP on fails? I'm bad at calling it out.
Yes.
Amy is good at failing at getting places.
Does seem to be a specialty. How did Ami's roll go?
Oh, not good at all. I believe the final result was a 1.
Yeah, I think you could choose to stay outside here with your band until something goes explosive and you force your way in, or I think you can make it in with like 2 backup dancers.
Oh, I thought we were going to do the performance for the line here.
I mean, that's not going to stop what's going on inside the club.
Oh, no. So Amy's perspective is, oh, there's a line to get into the concert. Obviously, these are the concert goers. So you perform. So you convince the concert goers to be nice and peaceful before they go in. And that's where the plan is failing, because these people are not making it into the concert.
So yeah, I think you're stuck out here. Like the bouncers don't recognize you. Obviously, if you were who you said you were, you'd be coming in the other entrance, and so you're gonna have to pull something more drastic to get into the club. Going back to Moirai, how'd your roll go?
I got a 7.
That's good. So your entrance isn't totally whiffed.
Get up there.
Let's see. MC will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. Okay. If you go through with this, you're going to be you're going to land a little bit on a table. It's not going to hurt that much. It just give you like a little bruise, not even any harm. It will flip a punch bowl over onto Thor.
I mean, it's a Halo jump, right? You gotta go through with it. Give me the table.
So yes, you time it perfectly. Like the threads rip apart the physical reality of the ceiling. They let you through. The lights are there. They come circling down with you. The ceiling closes back up magically like nothing ever happened, and you just sort of like wing this table with your knee as you're coming down, and you give like sort of a little hop as you land. Oh, God, oh damn, I ran into the coffee table sort of thing. Meanwhile, this table like collapses under your magic thread weight and goes perfectly flipping this punch bowl up across the air, hanging there, about to come down on Thor. If either Tyr or Apep would like to intervene here, you might could do something, but otherwise this is about to get real wet and yelly.
Me? Stop chaos? Who do you think I am?
I know. I mean, would you like to make it worse?
Plus, like, do we want like resolve the turn someone on before this?
Yes. What is your choice there for turn someone on?
Okay. Awesome. Yes. No. So I'm gonna go with I give myself to you.
In what way? What does that look like?
So, and I'm gonna try. My intent is to try and roll this into divine the past.
Cool.
So I think what this looks like is Apep like leans in closer, and there's that moment between the two of them, and I think like Tyr looks at him and then like leans in super close and like kisses Apep. And it's like real sweet and soft. And then he sort of like pulls back just enough to like murmur against Apep's mouth, like, we can't do this again.
Okay, so I think are we going back to the last time or the first time?
Oh, what do you want to do, Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan, you're involved in this.
Oh no, they're both so good. I was just going, so who here has a camera and is putting this on social media? But is not going to, because that would ruin his lighting right now.
Yeah, do you think has this happened multiple times, or has something like
thinking,
this only like one drunken night sort of situation?
I was always thinking like, is this like a previous pantheon? Like,
Oh
my goodness. I have no idea how that would work out, but I love it.
It's like, I guess like there could have been a previous cycle where like Tyr and Apep like happened to be in the same pantheon again. We are reunited, but I don't know. Otherwise,
Tyr,
no,
give into it. We're fated to make out.
I'm totally into it. We've already got some pull on like a 20s flapper pantheon, so why don't we just stick with that rather than complicating across too many timelines?
Yes, I love it.
It's, you know, a quarter of the pantheon was the same. That's not the weirdest thing that's ever happened. So we won't go big and broad, but we will have the two of you. Give me a 30-second gender and visual. Who are you? Tyr? Who are you in the 20s?
Oh, gosh, my knowledge of 20s musicians is so bad.
Don't have to go with clothes. Don't have to go with styles. Just, it's a person. Describe the person.
Okay, so Justice Tyr is probably Tyr is. Ooh, no, Tyr is probably like a pianist.
Nice. Male, female?
I think Tyr is we'll go for a I think for a male pianist. Except like the black and white keys, like it's sort of evocative of like Law and Order, right? Being black and white.
Okay. Is this like a classical concert pianist or like a loose jazz pianist? Like sort of party pianist?
Ooh, I think like classical jazz. I think classical pianist. I think for sure. That feels like restrained and again orderly.
And Apep, who is Apep in this time?
Josephine Baker, straight up. That started her career.
Nice. Perfect.
Wow. That's good. I like that. So I'm just going out on a limb here, but are you going with hot as a role here?
Yes.
Okay. I think we've got a good frame. Let's get the roll on the table, and then you can decide what happens in this scene.
Ooh, I got a 13.
Wow. So Tyr definitely has the upper hand in this situation, in this flashback, but you're still working together.
I'm so ready to fail this.
So you're going to end up with a string out of this, Tyr, for bringing this memory back up. But what does this memory look like?
Oh man, are we totally making out on the piano?
Ryan, what do you think?
Works for me.
Yeah, I think it's like it's the closed down theater in the middle of the night. There's just like one stage light down on the piano. It's like a sea of darkness around you.
Yeah. And I think this is totally like a time. I think this is probably this is probably Tia's first time. And it was a moment when Tyr lost like all of his integrity for caving in to like his own like selfish desires and like these like very human carnal pleasures and stuff. And I don't think he's like he really like is fond of that memory, but he's also very like self-deprecating about it and knows that he has to like keep himself to a higher moral code rather than like give himself to Apep again.
Super cool. Ryan, you have any? How's Apep in present time reacting to this? Because this is getting to you in some way.
Yeah, I think just kind of pauses for a second, and normally he'd have a quick quip right off top of hand, or at least attempt to look like he does, but he looks a bit gobsmacked. Like he did not expect memory thing.
Oh my god, that's super sweet.
And I think like Tyr pulls back enough just to like look at Apep in the eye again, and he's probably got like his hand in the back of like Apep's head, like like in a sort of cherishing gesture. Like it's quite a soft gesture. Like there's some caring there, but then also there's that look in his eye, like I can't do this. I want to do this, but I can't do this.
And I don't think either of you notice all of the people in the background of this comic panel that have their phones out pointed directly at you. So, did we have any other rolls on the table? I know the punch bowl is still in midair and no one's stopping it, so it's going to hit home.
That's such a good segue. Like, or like, we're in this moment together, and the punch bowl is like, boop.
Yeah, and just as Apep's starting to get some smart line together, there's a punch bowl flying for Thor. That's perfect.
Yeah. So the two of you are in your timeless across pantheons sort of moment. It's sweet. It's beautiful. The lighting is perfect for it. It's all the right shades of blue and purple, and just hits your skin tone beautifully. Until there is this crash and this splash and this ear-shattering, if you weren't gods, that might be literal scream. As Thor just yells fury. All of the lights in this place flicker. Half of the people, especially the ones around her, just like go down on their knees with hands to their head. Ami, outside, you see lights flashing and you hear this roar. Also, the skies look like, it didn't seem stormy a minute ago, but it seems real hurricane-y right now.
Yeah. So none of the gods know where Amy is, right?
No.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hide in the scenery, and that's how I'm gonna get into the club. Is just no one knows where I am.
Nice.
Well, we'll find out if no one knows where I am.
Yeah, what's that roll real quick?
I am not going to roll those red dice because those red dice hate me.
You all seem to have cursed dice.
That is a 9. So I believe nobody knows who I am. Somebody notices, and if they don't reveal me, they gain a stream. So I sneak, I hear this thunder cracking, and I'm just like, I sneak into like the service entrance and onto the stage to see the shitstorm going on. And someone notices it.
I think, and you don't even notice as you go by, but I think Zoe sees you sneaking into the middle of this mess, because Zoe is definitely in the crowd. Zoe is definitely like one row behind the camera holders around Apep and Tyr. And Zoe has plans. So as you go sneaking by, totally unnoticed, Zoe turns her back sternly on this like embarrassing show going on here that everybody's watching, and starts stalking after you. Moirai, there is lightning, there's thunder, there's glowing electricity, and it seems to be screaming, setting its fur cape on fire, and flying at you. What would you like to do? Easy responses I could see are like keep your cool or lash out physically, run away, work a miracle.
Cool. What does keep your cool do again?
That would be you naming what you're afraid might happen, and we'll see if you avoid it. It's a lot of avoiding and dodging tactics if you keep your cool.
Oh, nice. Well, I can't back down right now, so I'll go for the duck and weave.
All right. Why don't you roll with Cold? We'll see how that goes. And I suppose I haven't been doing this, but what is it that you're afraid might happen right here? I mean, there's so many things to be afraid of.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear going on. I think I'm just afraid that Thora's gonna like incapacitate me before we can execute this plan.
All right. See your roll.
I don't get how to use roll for your party.
The easiest way to do it is to highlight 2 dice and then hit re-roll. To do that, you click on 1 die and then you hit shift, hold down shift, and click on a second dice.
My Firefox does not seem to like that. Oh, let me boot up something else.
Actually, I'm going to clear out some of these dice.
Do you have physical dice? I'd be okay if you wanted to use those too.
Oh yeah, I do. Might as well.
It's caveman role playing.
No, that's a different game. What is it, UG? I think that's the name of the game.
And it's cold, right?
Yes.
That is a 10.
Nice. I'm on the wrong one. On a 10 up, you keep your cool and gain insight. You can ask me a question about the situation and take +1 forward.
Ah.
What would you like to know?
Oh, what's Thor planning for her performance?
You see, okay. You see Thor, but not from like a general point of view. You see very specific, like you're seeing from someone specific's eyes. You see Thor surrounded by lightning, sort of rising up in the air in the middle of a circle of her followers, as this lightning like spreads from her to them, and their eyes and their mouths and their skin starts glowing, and from there it sparks out to the crowd in this sort of St. Elmo's fire that's dancing across everybody in the crowd. And this view that you're getting Like you feel deep breaths, you feel movement, you feel running. This view gets closer and closer until it passes between the arms of some of the Thor's girls in a circle around her, and everything just washes white in your vision. Not exactly what Thor's planning, but someone else has something planned. Op-Ep and Tyr, you're in a tender moment when things go crazy and screamy and lightningy.
Oh gosh, there's probably that moment where Tyr also like opens his mouth to say something else, like not a snappy comeback, but probably something quite tender and meaningful. And then like before he can get it out, like that's when everything goes to shit.
And I think we'll probably be doing like a little epilogue cliffhanger roundup right here, and we'll stop in the middle of the performance with things on the edge. So Tyr, why don't we get a ending cliffhanger wrap up shot here for you?
Oh gosh. So what is remember what the chaos looks like again? Sorry.
Well, there's Thor, who you could still tell is in a ruined, wet, soaked outfit, pink stained all down it, but she is surrounded and covered in lightning that's leaking out of her fingers, out of her fists, flying at the Moirai, who, I don't know, how are you dodging? Is it like you barely managing to get out of the way, or is it that I know it's coming and I'm taking calm steps sort of thing?
Ooh, if this is for the comic book, you totally get like a shot up, like a close-up shot of like Tyr's face with like one speech bubble linked to the other speech bubble, and it's just like, oh, fuck. And then yeah, he'll probably try and like dodge out of the lightning's wave it's coming toward him, or like, but he'll take Apep with him.
So we see like you grabbing Apep's hand and starting to push through the crowd.
Yeah, totally.
Moira, I'm curious, what does it look like as you're dodging out of these attacks and gaining this insight and whatever?
I think it's like that as the lightning bolts fly towards the Moirai, like the thread detaches itself and like flies towards the lightning to intercept it mid-route and like redirect it to the ground. So like this, diverting all of the lightning just around the Moirai.
Nice, just all these like lightning rods shooting down into the ground around you.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any final words or anything there for your shot?
I'm so... but they could go after.
I mean, not exactly as planned, but heck, it worked.
What were you saying, Lauren?
If Tyr has some final words, he probably like shoots a small smile at Apep and says like, "I'm gonna win that bet. No one's getting hurt on my watch."
Apep?
So as the horrible screaming and the lightning and everything happens, and Tyr kind of starts to say something, you can see Apep turn away and kind of take a step, like maybe he's putting himself between whatever it is in Tyr, although maybe not. And his eyes are normally kind of a soft, dreamy brown, but they've gone gold and slit pupiled, and he's not blinking anymore. And we can see him kind of open his mouth a bit, and there's those straight cobra fangs, not normal canines. But then his arm is kind of pulled behind him as Tyr starts to pull him out of the way, and face turns a bit, and you can't see if he reverts or not.
Nice. And Ami sneaking through the crowd.
Yeah. So we're basically leaving off with Tyr and Apep holding hands.
Yep. And Thor and Moirai going at it for life and death.
Yeah, so I think it's appropriate. Like we have the shot of like Thor of Tyr and Apep holding hands, and basically the focus just shifts and there's Amy's face, like stunned, as if she just saw, like, oh shit, the person I have a crush on is in a relationship with the person who is totally hot but is a complete asshole.
And I think we see that like zoom in on your face, because it's this perfect moment when like a spotlight has shone down on you. There's this parting of the crowd between you and the two of them, and you're just staring straight across as Apep, you see her staring at you as you run by, and you also see as Zoe comes right up behind Amaterasu, grabs her by the shoulder, spins her around, and in the middle of this club, in the middle of this spotlight, and in full view of you, just lays one on her. And so that's where we're gonna stop.
Okay. I lost my bit.
I'm sorry, what do you have to say, Ryan?
Oh, I was just saying that we can see Apep, like, as she sees this, and he sees that she's seeing him, seeing her, seeing, back and forth, recursive, goes for the broad wink, and then as Zoe grabs her, it's just gobsmacked, what the fuck? And his eyes are totally normal Jamie eyes, not Apep eyes.
This is the weirdest love parallelogram ever.
You guys, that was an amazing mess. Oh, that was super fun.
That was amazing. I think it was like the best game I've ever played in my life.
Which, by the way, Zoe totally does not get a string on me now.
Cool. So, do people have a couple of minutes for like a lightning round of wishes and stars?
Oh, okay.
Do you?
Yes, but I'll do my best to be expedient.
Gotcha. Well, why don't we start with you, Lauren? Why don't we start with stars?
I would
try and narrow it down.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna be quick, but I'm gonna do everyone. Patrick, first of all, Patrick, you GM'd the crap out of that game. Like you said you were nervous going into it. You should have been nervous. Like that was beautiful. It was so well paced. There was never a dull moment. Like you ran the crap out of this session, and all the NPCs were amazing. The NPCs are cooler than us. Like we're all such like fucking nerds that I didn't realize that going into it. But like Thor and like Ares and everyone was like sealed that, and like I had such a good time. Like delivering prophecy. I was really happy we got that really beautiful scene at the beach with like Parvati's like impending death with my fear god. I feel like it's so like I'm fangirling from that so much right now. And Ryan, you're such a thank you so much for like letting me play off of you this whole time. Like I really love that sort of awkward god romance that's going on. It's like semi like rival, semi like I should but I shouldn't, but like this is I love all of it. Thank you so much for being amazing and wonderful. Apep's amazing and terrible and great. And like David, you just did such a good job of like Ami like playing her such a sweet innocent like Amaterasu who and like I think like ending on that shot with her looking at Apep and Tyr like sums up her whole character. Like she really feels like that background Sasquatch that's so awkward and like just wants to fit in and stuff. So you're playing the crap out of that playbook and also the god. So like keep doing what you're doing. And oh my god, Moira is so freaking creepy and strange. And I love, oh my god, like I just love everything that you're bringing to it. I love like you having. I want to explore. This is probably a wish, maybe, but like you and I exploring that foil of like Tyr being quite committed to the pantheon and like trusting like the ancient one, whereas like you feel like it sounds like you don't have that trust in him. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that sort of like comes together, especially because we have both like prophetic, like I can read the future kind of powers. So I'm really hoping we get to see some more of that. But like, you're also like a treasure to play with. And I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm so high on this game right now. But that's all my stars of my wish.
Cool. Ryan? You just muted yourself.
Yay!
Bingo.
I have to do that at least once a game, and I hadn't yet, so there we go. It's quite, how do I follow the lightning round of everybody with new stuff? You did a really great job. You're good at MCing this game, and this is a cool game so far. I like the work you put into it. It's very cool, and I liked your thoughts about how we might break it and stick it back together, like the other god takes you over. I don't know what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be awesome. I want it to happen.
It's all a big experiment.
And the NPCs are great. I love them all. Oh man, I've already forgotten who it was. Yes, Thor was super awesome. As was Zervin. Your Zervin voice is so cool and creepy, and I pity your vocal cords. Keeping it up.
It's been wearing at times. Thank you.
And I will second that the Morai are really cool. I love the Halo drop, and oh my goodness, you're so gross. I can't deal, but I want more description of it. But also, it's so gross, and I can't deal. And yeah, they're great. Or Sarah, great. I'm never really sure if I should use singular or plural when I'm talking about the Morai.
Me either.
Well, speaking of Morai, or do you have more?
Oh, everybody's awesome. Stars all around. My major wish is for a god to take over and force like something to summon another god. I want god stuff to go sideways. There we go.
Nice.
Oh, wait, no, more stuff because no one can stop me. I break the rules. I'm up hip. Thanks to Lauren for also rolling with the awkward god romance thing because that's super fun and definitely doesn't happen or is comfortable enough to happen at most tables. So yay, you're cool.
Yeah, I'm also here 1000% for awkward god. I don't know what shape this is. It's a very complicated one with many sides.
It's not really a shape so much as like a spirograph.
Yes! Your emotional spirograph is very compelling. Alex, stars?
All right, lightning round. Why not? Ryan, Cyber Snake, super cool. Holy shit, so badass. I dig it. Lighting is always cool.
Agreed.
Patrick, absolutely amazing DMing. Your NPCs are just so cool. I can never hope to live up to them, but maybe one day. Like with the whole 4 motivations, that was like, holy shit. These characters are fleshed out and have reasons for being here. That's so amazing.
Oh, yay.
Haran, I'm digging the like super dark, prophetic, Kavadi's gonna die stuff. That was such a cool plot twist. And then David, it was just like the freaking army scenes. It's just like, you're too pure for this world.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Nice. David, stars?
Oh, geez. Like people have already said so much. One of the things that is standing out is I definitely was trying to set up this really weird dichotomy with Amy, her being Amaterasu, who is like always the center of attention in her mythology, and the Sasquatch, which is always hidden in its mythology. So I think we've done like. Thank you so much for letting me do that like really cool dichotomy, and you're really getting it. It's like, oh my God, she's in the background, and then something awkward happens, and all eyes are on her in the most awkward way possible. So that is exactly what I was hoping for. Geez. Like, yes, the NPCs, I'm a little worried that they're just cooler than us. And it'll just become about them. But no, our characters are super awesome. Oh my God, Ryan, you are doing such a great job of playing a poser douchebag. It is like
Excuse
great.
you, I am neither poser nor douchebag. I'm awesome. You aspire to
See,
be me.
that is such a poser douchebag thing to say. um, no, this is great. I love I love the horrible love parallelogram that we're up to. We'll probably get it up to a hexagon by next session or some shit.
Well, I mean, there's Parvati in there too, because she was getting all flirty with Tyr.
Yeah, absolutely. The Morai are super creepy. I think my wish, though, is I'd really like to explore some more of those relationships between the PCs. Like, I want to see the friendship between the Morai and Amy. I want to see the unrequited love between Tyr and Amy, and I want to see God, that horrible love triangle with Zoe, Amy, and Epep. And of course, so many other things, but obviously, to keep it simple, I'm just like, okay, these are the Amy connections that I want to see play out.
No, that's cool.
So yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll say for me, for stars, it is also everything. The thing that drew me to Monsterhearts is like, oh, I think I can actually do this without dying of anxiety, is how supportive the moves are and how much like you just have to have sort of a gentle push and dice will keep the story rolling into new territories most of the time. But I also could not be happier with how much y'all are buying into it, like how much excitement and energy I have to feed off of, which keeps me going here at 1:30 in the morning. So I absolutely adore that from y'all. All of your characters are amazing and so perfectly what they are in the stupidest, most bad decision teenager sort of ways. Um, and Lauren, I also want to specifically call out, first of all, that scene on the beach with Zervan was beautiful. Thank you for like making me slow down and take a breath and not just babble through everything and have a sort of scene that had silences and scenes that had weight to it. And also I'm not too proud to exist that you 1000% called what was going to be coming up with Parvati. Like her head was definitely on the chopping block, and so you bringing it in as a prophecy, like this shit is for reals happening.
Ah, yay! I was like, how could I make everyone hurt? I'll kill the nice one.
And I'm glad that she connected because I was trying to make her the nice one that it would hurt to kill. So that was like an especially like, oh fuck, this worked sort of feeling for me in the middle of the session. I am also down for the creepy romances. I am also down for the fucked up nature of the Moirai, and also just like how much you're not buying into all this bullshit. Like, you're a god of fate. You were a teenager a couple months ago. You have these magical powers, but the guy that brought it all to you, you're like, fuck, that doesn't sound like a description. Screw you. No, I'm going to be doing this now. And I love that just step outside to, no, I'm going to do me. And Amaterasu, I do not have the words. It is so fun and gratifying to turn the spotlight on her every time it happens. So thank you for bringing that, like, it's really like it's a touch of anime sort of brought into our world where you have this just too cute, too adorable, too awkward sort of person that you're just rooting for the whole time, but you also really want to see her in the most embarrassing situations because she's adorable at that point. Um, wishes going forward, like I agree with y'all. We'll see whether Thor actually gets to her performance here, but we sort of like laid out the idea of an NPC doing a performance. I'd love to see y'all's performances going forward. And I selfishly just want to see like those the special moves get out on the table, just so I can judge how they work. Lauren, I don't think we got any wishes from you. Something you want to see future?
Oh, just like, can we play this forever, please?
Oh, I was also going to say, I do think I'm gonna put up a one-shot run for September. It won't be a continuation of this story. I'll very much want it to be new people, and where this is like the meaty heart of the Pantheon coming together. The September one will be like, we have all 12 gods from the start. It's going to be dominoes falling down. We're going to play out an end game. And then also starting October through the end of the year, I'm going to plan on doing a quarterly long run of 3 monthly campaigns, but they're all connected. And from that one, we'd be starting like from scratch. Like maybe there's one NPC god before y'all, and we see how the Pantheon forms from the ground up. So all that being said, I'm going to try and put up listings for next month, September. Jesus, I'm tired. Listings for September tonight. And I'll poke y'all on Slack before I put them up if anybody is interested in joining.
Yes,
or if you want to like save for the long run, whatever.
I will play all forms of this game. It's amazing. Thank you for making it.
Thank you for playing. So Lauren, wishes going forward.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think I really want to dig into like the sad, awkward Barrettes with like for sure. I want to see how that like, I want to see like Tyr's integrity get really challenged, and like him being put in spots where he has to like compromise his integrity for sure. And yeah, I'm keen for some scenes between like I feel like Tyr's gonna butt heads with the Moira. So I think like that's gonna be neat to see like if there is a point where Zevan is like a bit shady and Moira is like, hey Tyr, like your head's up your own butt. Like you've got to open your eyes and see what's going on here. Like I'm looking forward to having a bit of like a discourse in that capacity. And yeah, I think that at the unrequited love thing, I'm totally on board with that, David. That'd be fun to play out. So I echo everyone's wishes, I guess.
Cool. I'm into it, and I definitely think we can play up the ambiguity around Zervan.
Nice.
And Alex, did you have any wishes?
Oh, I don't know. It's all so cool. I don't know what could be added on top of this. I just want to see this train wreck just like explode. It's gonna be so amazing.
Well, how about this? So just for my planning purposes, and you're in the center of this at the moment, going forward at the start of next session, do you foresee like your interruption tumbling this whole thing down and we never get around to the performance? Or do you think that's still going to go off and something might happen there?
I'd be super down for some performances to go off.
Okay, cool.
I'm so keen for the just like God messing around stuff.
Cool. Then that gives me some like framing for how we're going to start off next time. Thank you.
Nice.
Well, cool. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here, which is I do that like